With cars being one of the most expensive purchases we make in life and the rise in knowledge of how much this purchase can really erode our wealth over time, thanks to some exceptional videos here on YouTube, it's time we collectively make better decisions when it comes to what car we buy. So today I thought I'd make this video a complete guide to buying the best car you can comfortably afford so it doesn't become a source of tension in your financial future. There's two main reasons you might end up buying a car that does cause you financial stress. It's typically a lack of understanding of how much you can comfortably afford to spend all in on transportation and falling into the negative equity trap, which is when you owe more on your car than what it's worth. This affected nearly 44% of people trading in their car in 2020. This becomes a major problem if you want to sell or trade your car because you'll need to cover the difference between what you owe and what the car's worth, and this can cost you thousands of dollars. I've heard the stories firsthand in the comments on my upside down car loan video, which was extra motivation for me to get this information out to you today. Now let's get into the steps you can follow to ensure you buy a car that doesn't leave you stressed out and struggling after the initial excitement of that new car fades away. And I put all this information into a guide that you can grab in the description for free, so you have all this in one place and you don't have to take notes while you're watching this video. Step one is to understand how much you can afford to spend on the car before you start looking. If you look first, you might find ways to justify the cost of something you fall in love with instead of falling in love with something you can afford. I find that having some guidelines for this can help. So after combing through tons of articles on this topic, I found the general consensus to be to spend less than 10% of your take-home pay on your car payment and less than 15 to 20% overall on car-related expenses, including tax, title, gas, maintenance, insurance, all of that. Let's look at an example. If your take-home pay is $4,000 and you stick to the 10% guideline, this gives you $400 per month that you may be able to spend on the payment and another $200 to $400 for the rest of your car-related expenses. But you should also take a look at your other monthly expenses alongside of this to be sure that you do have enough room within your existing spending. Understand what these numbers are before talking with a dealership. Remember, they're professional salespeople who have their own goals for what they get you to buy based on their own compensation structure. They can easily tweak the numbers to make the monthly payment seem reasonable while getting you to spend thousands more than what would be ideal. So in addition to knowing what you can afford monthly, have a maximum that you're willing to spend on the price of the car. That'll ultimately help you avoid falling into that negative equity. Let's look at an online calculator to help you with this step. So you'll just come in here, enter the car payment that you decided you can afford. Change this based on what your credit score is. Let's just say you've got a good credit score. We'll use just a really low down payment, say no trade-in value. Ideally, you keep your loan at a 48-month term. That's 4 years. You could go to 5 years. You're just increasing the chances that you go into negative equity the longer you extend this out. But let's take a look, and I definitely wouldn't go past 5 years, even though it can be tempting. So this says that you can afford a car up to $18,000 and you would be paying about 8.5% interest. And this is how it breaks down. It's got some tax included here, and it says that you'll need a total loan amount, or you'll end up paying $19,400. That includes $4,500 in interest. That's on the 60-month term. If you were able to pay it off in 4 years instead, that really reduces the interest that you pay. You do have to get a car that's more affordable, $15,000 versus $18,000, but in the long run, that just means more money in your pocket. Step two is to see what types of cars are available in your budget online before you consider going to a dealership. I'll share my screen with you now and show you exactly how to do this. There's several different sites you can use. I like to use this one because it makes it really easy to see everything. But after you know how much you can afford technically, so between 15 and 18,000 that we just got from that last calculator, let's put in 15,000 to start out with. We'll put Orlando, Florida here. I like to start with best case scenarios. So let's see if we could find something that's like 5 to 8 years old or less. So we'll start with the 2017 and newer. Mileage, we want to reduce that and see what we can get for mileage that isn't too bad. Say under 50,000. So we've got some starter options here. So just scroll through, see if you see anything that you think you could work with. This Nissan Sentra looks pretty decent. It says it's an excellent price, 42,000 miles, and it's 13,000. So you're under budget, which is always nice. And if you're not seeing anything that you can actually accept, that's when you would go in in and say, okay, let me bump up my loan a little bit, increase the mileage a little, then you've got a lot more options. So there's 83 listings here. If you've got a certain type of car in mind, you can filter it down. And of course, you can check out other sites as well. But I think this is a great way to really see that there are quite a lot of decent cars available that you maybe wouldn't see if you go straight to the dealership. This Nissan Kicks looks pretty good. I haven't heard of this car, but 37,000 miles. Hyundai Elantra, those are really popular. You've got a couple SUVs in here. So you get the point, but it's a matter of going in, looking for the deals that you're not going to see when you roll up to the dealership, because they're going to show you higher price cars and try to make the payment more affordable, which ends up getting you into something that you end up spending a lot more than you should have on. I also want to show you the problem with searching for what you can buy based on how much you could afford monthly. So I entered $400 here in this finance option box, and that gave me 300 listings versus the 18 or so that we had before. So let's take a look and see what's up with this. Let's click on this one, right? A Kia, you can get this for $400 a month, but here's the problem with that. You end up spending $24,000. If the budget of what you can truly afford is between $12,000 and $15,000 and you go by the car payment alone, you could end up in a situation like this and spend over $10,000 more than you intended to. That means you're in a car payment for longer, you're spending more on interest, and you're increasing the chances that you're upside down and creating that negative equity situation for yourself. Have a few options that you're open to, because depending on what you learn in the next 2 steps, it'll be good to have a backup or two. Step 3 is to get an estimate of what the monthly insurance will cost. You can do this online to shop multiple offers, or make a call to your current insurance provider to get a quote after you've narrowed down your options. Step 4 is to research maintenance, gas, and other costs for the vehicle you're considering. You might see a car that you can afford based on its price, but you don't want to be caught off guard by the cost of replacement parts, labor, or any of that. Step 5 is to find the best loan that you qualify for. I really like this site called Credible. They make it easy to shop lenders in one spot, and it's important to do this so you can find the lowest rate available. Then you might even be able to take this to the dealership and have them give you a lower rate than you've been able to find elsewhere because they want to give you a loan. And if not, then you already have a loan provider lined up. If you don't have this information before going to the dealership, they're likely to stick you with the highest rate that they can get away with. Step 6 is to consider your financial priorities before making your final decision. Operating within a limited supply of money means we can't have everything that we want, but if we're thoughtful with our spending, we increase the likelihood that we get more of what we want with the money that we have. Neglecting this step is likely to cause financial stress and a lack of overall satisfaction within your financial situation. When you say yes to a certain car payment, you're saying no to other things that money could have gone towards every single month for the life of the loan. This is the opportunity cost worth thinking deeply about. I'm going to share my screen with you now to show you 2 calculators that can help you tangibly calculate this cost. First, come in and enter the loan balance that you decided to take on. So let's say you go with the $15,000 loan and you're paying 7% interest at a $400 per month rate. This means you'll be done paying this off in 3.5 years. You'll probably spend $1,800 in interest. Now come to this investment growth calculator and see what your money would add up to over time if you were able to start investing that money instead of putting it into your car. So $400 to start out with, and then you're putting $400 monthly. Let's say you get an average of 8%, which the stock market has returned on average 10% per year for the last 100 years. So you could still use 8% to be a little bit more conservative. And in 5 years, you would have $30,000 if you did this versus pouring that money all into your car. So instead of taking out a 7-year loan, get this paid off in 3.5 years, and then start investing that money for your own future to give yourself that much more financial freedom and flexibility to enjoy your money on other things besides just your car. And let's take a look. If you scroll down here, you can see you've put in $24,000, you've earned $5,500, and that's just in 5 years. What if you extend this out 10 years? That's $74,000. So if you're able to get a car and hang on to it for as long as possible and dump this money into an investment account, you're really going to start building some long-term wealth for yourself. It can be tempting to buy another car for so many reasons, but especially if you're facing pricey maintenance issues like the engine or transmission going out. If you're in this situation, like I was so many times over the 10 years that I held on to my 1999 Isuzu, run the numbers of what it would cost you to repair your current car versus what it would cost to buy. The break-even is likely just a few months of what the car payment would have been to fix the car, and after that, you'll be back to saving all that money again versus being stuck in a car payment for the next 5 years. This means that you'll have more money available to travel, pay down debt, and invest. I've put all this information in a downloadable guide for you with all the resources mentioned, linked for easy access. Grab it for free in the description below and use it to help you get the best car you can comfortably afford.